You are about to enter a great adventure.
This is Strutting from Gorilla.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Strutting from Gorilla. I am Big Vito, and today we have a very special podcast. We're welcoming back Vinny Berry, author of Wrestleville, the Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 2. This is his third time back. We're always really excited to have him on the show here. But before we get into that, let me tell you about where you can find us. You can find us on Facebook at SFG Podcast, on Twitter and TikTok at from_gorilla, Instagram at SFG Gorilla Pod, and you can always find us on our website at www.struttingfromgorilla.com. And please, if you enjoy the show, make sure you leave us a 5-star review on whatever format you listen to. So with that, Vinny, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on again.
Oh, anytime. You're always welcome here. We're always excited. I got your copy of the book and was browsing through it, and I thought it was fantastic as always. The stories you have. If for any of the listeners that haven't had a chance to read your books, it's always a really easy, clear, concise read. And the last 2 books you've had have been more interview styles with some short stories on some wrestlers from the past and some upcoming wrestlers. And so, you know, what made you decide to go into the book again and do the interviews? I know the first one went really well.
Well, I had the material, and I probably would have used that in the first volume, but I didn't want a book that was going to be over 400 pages, So, I when I was putting that second book together, the volume 1, I just thought, you know what? I just go ahead and split this up. And I didn't have quite enough for the second. So that year that I was putting that book together, I was also collecting, some stories that I could put in there. And I got some really good ones. I added Susan Green to that. I added PJ Black to that. I added Soraya Knight, the mom,
Yep.
of course. But, she's a legend in her own right, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when you went through these interviews, what I noticed is that there's a pretty good date range, right? From 2018 to 22. What went into you choosing which one into which volume? Was it the stories you liked, or what was the idea behind that?
Well, the reason why I put the date on there was because that was like when I published, like
Yep.
maybe put it on my website.
Yep.
And then when that website pretty much went away, all those stories went down. As I started writing books, I started changing my format, so to speak, or I started like doing podcasts, like interviews, as
Yeah.
opposed to, before what I was doing was I was just interviewing the wrestler over the phone, recording the conversation, going back, transcribing it, and writing it. Then, of course, I started putting books out, and people were like, well, you should do a podcast because you can put a commercial in there and market it.
Yeah.
It's a marketing tool. And so I tried doing that, and I started doing that, and that was going pretty good, but I couldn't do both. I couldn't write books, write articles for the website, and do podcasts. It was just too many balls in the air. So I just let the short stories go, and which I really enjoyed writing, right? But
Yep.
now I've preserved them, so there they are, And I talked to Sal Renaro last night. He's in the second book. He's on the front cover. He's
Yep.
just tickled, man. He first off, he can't believe he's in a book, right? He tells a story last night when we were talking. He said, when I was in elementary school, Mrs. Bradley came by and asked everybody. She asked Bobby, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "I want to be a doctor." "What do you want to be, Johnny?" "Oh, I want to be a business owner." "What do you want to be, Katie?" "Oh, I want to be a dinosaur." "What do you want to be, Sal?" "I want to be a pro wrestler." "Well, Sal, Katie has a better chance of being a dinosaur than you have being a pro wrestler." And he was like, "Well, Mrs. Bradley, I'm in a book and you're
Yeah.
not. And it's about pro wrestling."
That's
He was
awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I think that's what's great about this, right? I talked about you had some guys from the past, you had some guys that were kind of up and coming, and some lesser known people, and I think it's really great. One of the ones that I like, I kind of resonate to the stories of the wrestlers that I knew and can relate to, right? So Jazz, right? I was a big ECW fan. I did not realize how influential she was to the women's wrestling. You know what I mean? And the stories you told about her wrestling with Trish Stratus and the matches they had. What was the interview with her like? I mean, she seems like a really tough chick, if people want to say it that way.
Yeah, she is. I mean, well, she's a straight shooter. I've
Yeah.
met her. I've met her in person. I've uh saw her up at Mission Pro and introduced myself, and I said, "Hey, I'm Vinny." She goes, "I know who you are, Vinny." And she's tough, right? I mean, she's
Yeah.
you know, and so, but she's a sweet lady, and when I showed her when I was working on the book, the second book, I showed her the cover of the first book, and I said, I texted her. I said, "Jazz, um, here's the cover of the first book. Uh, I would like to put you where Harley Race is, because Harley Race is on the first book, right?
Yep. Yep.
Front and center."
Yep.
And she texted me back, "You're gonna put a black woman right there where Holly Race is?" And I was like, I didn't even think about that, right? I mean,
Yeah. Right.
I thought, wow, no, I just thought because you were the most deserving to be there,
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I
But
was just, and she was tickled pink. She was just, she was she's a sweet lady, man. I mean, and what she's done for professional wrestling, what she still does for professional wrestling, I mean, they're in it, I
yeah.
mean, it isn't a hobby for them. I mean, they have a wrestling school, they train people, they're in it.
Yeah. Why do you think she hasn't been shown on TV or like been part of WWE lately? Like you'd think someone that's that influential, they'd want to bring her back. You know what I'm trying to say? Um,
Well, she's done some uh appearances for NWA.
yeah, I knew that. I knew
Yeah.
NWO. That's true. But did she speak to anything about WWE
She
when?
did not. I mean,
Okay.
just the time with her and Trish and stuff like that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, she's always one that I think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and you can debate what you feel about the WWE Hall of Fame, but I feel like she deserves to be in there over a lot of other people, and I'm shocked we haven't seen her. So that's why I ask. But yeah, no, that was a good story. Not to get into too many of them, I don't want to spoil it for everyone. But the other one, what was it like? Because you interviewed Kamala, what was it, 2 months before he passed away, right?
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah, you know what? I got in touch with him. I called him, and he wasn't feeling well when I called him. And I said, "Okay," and I told him who I was, and he goes, "Hey," he was real nice, man. He goes, "Yeah, yeah, I want to talk to you. Call me next Friday." And it was during the summertime, so I had like I had Friday off, right? In the
Yep.
summertime, I worked 4 10s. So I called him on that Friday, and he was like, "Oh, I'm on a phone call. Uh, I'll call you back," and and he did, But here's the thing with because I've been writing about fighters for about 12, 13 years now,
Yep.
MMA and boxers and wrestlers,
Right.
and they're the same, man.
I know. Yeah,
If
I could
it,
imagine.
they're made in the same factory, and if you don't catch them right then and there, usually you don't catch them again.
Yeah.
And he surprised me. Um, and Bobby Eaton did the same
Yep.
thing. He
Yep.
he he followed through, and so, but I kind of expect it because respect was drilled into those guys.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. The older, I'd say it's more of the older generation of wrestlers. We talk about that a lot on our podcast about I feel like nowadays when you have the whole, I call it the cookie cutter mold, where you go into like the performance center, you do all this. They don't have that territory experience where some of these guys, like with Bruiser Brody, they had to go through the ringer to get all the way up, right? And if you were a new guy, you had to earn your dues, and it all started down. A lot of it was in Texas too, with World Class Championship Wrestling, right?
Yeah, and we just got done talking about Black Bart before we got on. That guy paid his dues, and I mean,
Yeah,
paid his dues, you know, in a long and hard way, and so, but that's the way that it was, I mean,
yeah,
it was just, but his story is unique in such a way was, you know, he was like, well, I didn't want to do anything else.
right, right.
That was what I wanted to do.
Right. Well, I think that's the idea behind it. They had to grind so hard to get where they were, and once they got to that pinnacle, they weren't trying to lose that spot,
Right.
And whereas today, it's so different. I mean, you look at some of the stories going on; it's a different feel. And I do see some of that. I see with like the NWA and some of these other things. It almost seems like the territories are coming back in a very small,
You know what?
slow, methodical way.
I've been saying that for years. I've been
Yeah.
saying that yeah, since I don't know, 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
People go, "Oh no, they're not coming back." But the thing is that it's different now, right? Because you've got all these streaming, these.
Yes.
But my goodness, I mean, look at the Gulf Coast and just
Yeah.
take that area. I mean that
Yep.
that thing is thriving, and
Yeah.
and I know that because I have a lot of friends over there, and I'm fairly close to it. Well, you could call South Texas Gulf
Right.
Coast, right?
Right. Yep.
But when I think of it, I think of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean it's thriving over there, and a lot of those guys from that area come here. Well, then you've got Ohio is cooking, man. Pennsylvania's cooking. California is cooking right now. I mean, it's it's all over. You can find it. So yeah, I don't think the territories is a stretch. It's it's a little different level of what it was.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of TV to it, but golly, man, I know professional wrestlers that like I knew somebody that recently I talked to moved from Pennsylvania to Texas and picked up basically where they left off up there because the scene's thriving down here.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. That honestly, I if I take anything out of our times talking together and reading your books, I learn a lot about some of the independent wrestlers and where they're wrestling now. And that's how I get that feeling. And you must take some pride when you interview somebody and they go on to make it a little bit. Like I think of I think one of the ones that stuck out to me was Blake Christian, right? Because he's
Yeah,
done a little bit
absolutely.
of Ring of Honor, AW type stuff.
Yeah, I could go down the table of contents and tell you the ones. Well, she is one. Kobe Carino was one. I
Yep.
interviewed Kobe Carino
Yep.
back
Yep.
in like 2018.
That's
Um,
Steve Carino's son, right?
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. And
Yeah.
then Blake Christian,
Yeah.
um, Nikita Knight. You know who Nikita Knight is, right?
No, I don't. No.
Thea Hale
Oh,
from
okay.
Chase University.
Okay. Okay.
And so yeah, you know, I unbelievably I got PJ Black in here. But I got him because he knows Lance.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
he like knew Lance when he was like when PJ was a little boy.
Yeah.
So
You,
so that helped, and he's real happy with the book. Kerry Morton. Kerry Morton. When I interviewed him, he was. I mean, he's still early in his career, but you really can't say he's early in his career because I got a picture of him in there. He was wrestling when he was like 14. I
I
showed him the
know.
picture. He goes, "Man, I was like 14 there, or 12 or something." So he's been around it all his life, right? But Yeah, I have to admit, when I look at the table of contents, I'm blown away by, and I don't have a problem like talking about who's in the book, because
Yeah,
I'll
right.
tell you something about this book, man. I have it on the website and I have it on Amazon,
Yep.
and it sells, right? But this thing goes like hotcakes at the live shows
I
because
bet it does because they
people
use.
pick it up
Yeah.
and they look at it and they're like, "Holy cow!" First off, all these books come signed by somebody. This
Yep.
one's Carrie Morton, right?
Yep.
Uh, but you open the book. I did a like a feature story on the Northern Wrestling Federation
Yep. I did see that. Yep.
out of Cincinnati, Ohio,
Yep.
and Roger Ruffin is the trainer there. He trained Monster Abyss, Carl Anderson, uh,
Yep.
Jordan Clearwater, Jillian Hall, Chris Harris, and so
Yeah. A lot of
he's
big
got
names.
some good names. He's got Lord Crew. Do you know Lord Crew?
I don't. No. No.
Look him up, man. He's got a
Okay.
good look. As a matter of fact, I have an interview of him on my podcast.
Okay. All right.
So
Yeah.
he's
And
an
where?
interesting cat.
Just so the listeners know, the name of your podcast is Wrestleville, same as your website, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Correct.
Russellville.
Okay.
Yeah. Russellville podcast, russellville.com.
And they can see some of these interviews that are in here. You have on your podcast and on your website as well. Is that correct?
There's actually the stories and the interviews. The only interview I think that is
You got a
uh
Thunder Rosa one, right?
well that's a different interview than it is a story.
Okay. All right. That's
So what
fair.
I did with her was I interviewed her for a story and then I interviewed her for the podcast.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
That's fair.
that's actually two different stories. Might cross over a little bit, but they're unique. The only one that's the same is the Soraya Knight
Okay.
interview that she talks. I did transcribe that for the book because I was finishing up the book and I had the Soraya Knight interview and I thought, who's more deserving to be in that? And she's
Right.
the final story of the book. I mean, you can't ask for, I
No.
got her in the end and Jazz in the beginning, right?
Yep. No, that's great. Yeah. No, the other story that I really thought was interesting was Duke the Dumpster, right? Like I remember seeing him when I was younger, didn't know too much about him, but I didn't understand the challenges that he had. But it's not an uncommon thing at that time, right? I feel like a lot of wrestlers were going through, they're on the road, you know 340 days a year. Like it's a lot, and if you're trying to make it and do that grind, you're constantly trying to fight through injuries so people can keep seeing you. How was that interview compared to some of the other ones? I mean, he seems like he's doing really well right now, helping other people that are going through kind of a similar challenge.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. He was easy to talk to, very real nice guy, and we message each other from time to time still. Um, yeah, I mean, he went to WrestleMania and watched it on the closed circuit television and like turned to his
Yeah.
dad and said, "Dad, that is what I'm doing."
Yep.
And he uh wrestled in Florida for like several years, like 7 years. I think he said that he was developing that character, and he gave me a picture of the Gibraltar uh, character. It's in the book.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Bronco Gibraltar or whatever he called himself.
Okay. There was something in there too that I don't know if I missed it, but he had his leg amputated.
He did.
And he's still kind of doing appearances here and there right now, right?
Yeah, he has a prosthesis.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay.
and the stuff he does is like run-ins and
Yeah.
appearances. He's done some matches, but he does what he's capable of doing. It's he's up there in age a bit too. So
Yeah.
wrestling's different for him, but yeah, he kind of got sucked back into it. It
Yeah.
wasn't something that he was looking to do Rocco Gibraltar or Gibraltar, and so he
Oh yeah.
I'm showing this to you, but
Yep.
this
I can
was
see it.
his
Yep.
picture, and then this is him
Yep.
in later
Yep.
years, and I had a lot of good photographers help me with some pictures. I have a friend that I work with, John Paul LeBlanc, and man, he had some great pictures. The Q&A with Bill Apter and Mark Lawrence from World Class Championship Wrestling, I think is, it's these little stories that what I would call gems. It's like, golly, man, I can't believe that's in the book. And it was like Dante Smiley's in this book.
I
That
saw
dude
that.
is cooking right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, it's a great book, and if for any of the listeners here, we got Vinny Berry on here. Check out his website, Wrestleville. It's Wrestleville.com, right?
right,
Yeah, Wrestleville.com, and you can find he's got a couple of great books. I'm still a huge fan of Lance by Chance, which is an awesome read. I think I don't read a ton of books, and I think I read that book in like a week's time period, like it which I never do. It was just captivating.
thank you for saying that. But you know
Yeah,
what? I'm getting a lot of that.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of people say, look, I find a lot of wrestling books kind of boring, and but I could read your books. And Roger Ruffin, I said he was talking to me about the book, and I said, and after we were talking a while, I said, "Hey, Roger, did you read it all the way through?" He goes, "I read two of your books all the way through," and so did Big Mama. I was like,
Yeah,
"Great." I have a friend of mine. I went up to Dallas and saw a friend of mine. Her husband is a like well, he's a professor, and he studies psychology, and he's written like 20 books, like true crime, like serial killer books. People on you know crimes.
yep,
Big you know high profile crimes. And she told me that she goes, I tried reading one, but I haven't been able to get through. And all the way through, she goes, I know nothing about wrestling, never watched wrestling, and she said I've already read two of your books all the way through.
yeah. I think you told us the first time we had you on in the Lance by Chance episode. Um, you had some people read through it, and you had to kind of go back because they didn't understand some of the wording, like the wrestling
Oh
terminology,
yeah,
and that helps. Like it really does help. I mean, I know a good amount of it,
right.
but like it really does. I think help people that maybe aren't so familiar, but remember, Lance
Yeah,
Von Erich, like
yeah. That was my nieces.
that was your nieces. Yes, that's what
Yes,
it was.
and dude. These girls are they're
Yeah.
they're a lot smarter than I am. I mean, one is working on her uh what she's trying to get into grad school.
Yeah.
She can even speak Japanese,
Yeah, it's impressive.
and she said not fluently, but she speak more than me, right? I think I could say egg roll, but she said that when they read it, they were like, "Hey, who did you write this book for?" I was like, "Everybody." She goes, "You didn't write it for everybody. You wrote
That's
it
how it
for a
was. Yeah.
wrestling fan."
Yep.
Yeah, but I will say this: on my next project, I'm not. I'm not. I kind of thought long and hard about that. I'm not doing it for my next book.
Okay.
Kind of like
Yep.
dumbing it down and kind of
Yeah.
giving definitions when we say, there's some things that get described. I mean, he goes into detail some, and but the why I think it worked so well with Lance's book was because Lance didn't know any of that stuff either.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, because he was. Yeah, that's a great point.
He
Yeah.
had no clue what bumping was, what
Yep.
blading was,
Yep.
kayfabe. He
Yeah.
didn't speak that language,
That's
right?
a good point. Yeah.
So it worked well in that book, but I'm talking to you. And I've talked about this on podcasts. I'm in the middle of working on Black Bart's book. I hope to finish it this year.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was
Yeah,
what's next for Vinny Berry?
that would be the Black Bart autobiography. So
All
I'm about
right.
about halfway through,
Okay.
and I've what I do is when I start working on the book, it's like I have a process, right? So I I start interviewing Bart because he's retired. He's accessible. I could talk to him almost every day, right?
Yep.
And get a little more detail, and through this process of you know, like he remembers more as we go on. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just say Chris Adams, and he's like, and I said, whoa, 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 whoa! Why didn't you tell me this 6 months ago when we were on this
Right.
topic? He goes, well, because you jarred some memories there. So it's like, it's been a little different process with him than with Lance was, but with him, um, you know, I, 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 I mean, as soon as I knew that I was working on the book, I started collecting pictures. What pictures are out there, right? And I reached out to some photographers, and they helped me, and then I just met up him with him, and he helped me with some, and also too, I'm like written like 20 chapters already.
Yep.
So and this week I was like kind of going through some like I'm in the world class
Yep.
era right now, and so I'm kind of picking my topics of what I need to write about. What's really interesting about this when you go through this process, and I tell him all the time, the book you think I'm going to write may not be the exact book that you think I'm going to write, because it kind of takes on a life of its own. And you know he'll tell me certain stories. I'm like, well, why aren't you telling me about this guy? Well, you never asked about that guy. And then before you know it, we've got
A bunch of stories. Yeah.
a bunch of stories, but good stuff that kind of going down a different path. He's
Yeah.
got he's done a lot of shoot interviews. And I said, look, man, you've got so many shoot interviews out there. Who's going to want to write the book? And he said, Vinny, I'm telling you a lot of stuff that's not on there.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think people are going to be really surprised by some of the stuff. There's a story. I'll tell you a little bit. I'll tell you this. This is one of the gems. You know who Otto Vance is?
No, refresh me on
Okay.
who that is. I
He's from
might, but
Austria.
refresh me. Okay.
He's from Austria. He passed away. A big guy, like a barrel, a barrel
Yeah.
chested dude.
It sounds familiar to me. Yeah.
He held the AWA title for Vern Gagne.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
once
Yep.
upon a time, just
Yes.
a little, and a lot of the wrestlers would go over there and they wrestled in rounds over there with it. That's how they did it. They did like rounds,
Yep.
so 12 rounds or 15 rounds, whatever it is, rounds.
That's interesting.
Anyway,
Okay.
uh, Bart gets a phone call from Bruiser Brody, and this story is in the book. He gets a phone call from Bruiser Brody. Hey, I can't go. I need you to take my place. He calls Otto. He gets it all set up. He calls Fritz, sets it up. So he leaves. He goes out there to Austria, fights Otto, has a hell of a match, and he comes back. And Bruiser Brody was killed in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
he stayed there longer, had Bart cover for him.
Oh.
Yeah. And so when Bart comes back, he finds out that Bruiser Brody died,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's very interesting. It's first of all, I can't wait to read this. That sounds fantastic. It really does. So definitely keep us on the radar when it's coming out, because I'm excited for it. But I always use this time because my time in wrestling is different than the times that you write about, and I love it because I can understand those times, and I learned so much from hearing you tell these stories and from the books that you've written. So I very much appreciate that. As a, we do this podcast because we're just two guys that are fans of wrestling, right? And to understand some more of the history that I didn't know, it's like opening up a whole new world to what you're, and then you learn about some of the stuff that has translated into what's going on today, and it's a whole knowledge that you just didn't have. So
Hey, man, sometimes when these guys are telling me these stories, it's almost like, well, first off, I can't believe they're telling me this stuff,
yeah, right, right,
right? I mean,
right,
it's like I'm just blown away. It's like, I mean, they really open up to me. I mean,
yeah.
not just the old timers. I mean, I just I can't believe it, seriously. And then have you had the opportunity to listen to the Mark Youngblood?
No, I haven't.
All right, there's two parters. There's
Okay.
one where he's talking about his family and his brothers and his
Yep.
way in the business. Second part, he talks about the day that Bruiser Brody got killed,
Okay.
and he was in there,
Yeah.
and uh, and so he talks about that. Unbelievable, man. I mean,
Okay.
I
And that's
think it's still on the homepage of my website,
all right. I'll check that one out for sure. No,
but but I have one out. It's in the lineup to go out.
all right.
It's Wild Bill Irwin.
Okay. Okay.
And Wild Bill Irwin was the last wrestler to see David Von Erich alive in Japan.
Oh, and this is going to be a podcast episode
It's
that
a
you're doing?
podcast, yes.
Okay. Oh, I can't wait for that one. That'll be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ready to go. It's just in the lineup. The way I do my podcast, man, I get them when I get them.
Yeah. Right. 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 And then you release them as you get them. I get
Yeah,
that.
it's like
Yeah.
herding cats.
Yeah. It is. No, I understand. Hey, listen, Vinny, we appreciate you coming back on here. And, for everyone listening, if you want to grab an episode, if you want to grab a copy of the new book, Wrestleville, the Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2, you can get it on Amazon and your website at wrestleville.com.
Right. And absolutely. If you don't mind, I would like to just go ahead and, give fans a just a really quick preview of what they'll see in here.
Please do.
I have Carrie Morton in here. I have Thea Hell, who's she started as Nikita Knight, and she wrestled for about 3 or 4 months before she went to the NWA. Maybe a little longer than that, but wasn't in the business very long. The Maestro's in here. PJ Black is in here. Bill Collier is in this book. Um, I've got Leilani Kai,
Kamala.
World's Women's Champion from WWF and NWA's champion. We've got Just Incredibles in this book.
Oh, I forgot
Kamala.
about
So
that. Yeah.
I mean, incredible stuff, really neat stuff. I think the fans are going to enjoy it. Every book comes signed. I have the signed stickers. I sent stickers out to wrestlers who wanted to be a part of that. Jazz was a part of that. Sal Renaro, PJ Black. Let's see, Congo Kong, Andrew Anderson, Kerry Morton. So Jeremiah Plunkett. There's some good ones in there, man. I think Mario Mancini, the Mario Mancini story. You know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mario Mancini. I read that story when I first got the book, and my wife came by. She said, "Oh, what are you doing? Reading your book?" I said, "Yeah, I'm reading this Mario Mancini story." I said, "Boy, it is really, really good." She goes, "And how many times have you read that story?" And I said, "Well, I've probably read it 40 times, but I mean,
Just as good.
yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I could go back and read some of my stuff that I wrote, a year or 2 years ago and think, golly, man, I thought that was the cat's meow when I first wrote it. Like,
Yeah.
that's embarrassing. My name is on there. But that story to me stands the test of time. So it makes me feel good that I like my work because I'm very critical of what I do.
Yeah, right. Right. No, I completely understand that. No, it's a great read. Like I said,
Thank you.
make sure you get a chance to check it out if you're listening. But before I let you go, obviously we got WrestleMania season. We talk a lot about WWE over here. Have you been following any of the stuff lately, like Roman Reigns or the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes? And have
A
you
little
followed
bit,
any of it?
yeah, a little bit of the Sami Zayn and the
Okay.
Bloodline, a little bit of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
So,
been watching a lot of NXT,
okay. All right.
and I've been watching a lot of uh, Insane Championship Wrestling from Scotland.
Okay, and where do you watch that? I'm kind of
You
curious. I
can
haven't
get
seen
that on
that.
the WWE network.
Can you?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll have to look at that. I didn't know that.
ICW.
Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was on there. That's look at this. This is why I like having you on. These little tidbits. You're like Mikey Cash couldn't be on here today because he had issues with the internet. Unfortunately, we miss him. But he's like that too. He knows all these little tidbits that I have no idea about. So I appreciate that. I'll have to check that out.
Let me share this tidbit with you. Somebody
Please.
told me there is a free streaming channel called Pro Wrestling Network. Have you heard of this?
No,
Yeah,
but I'll look that up.
yeah. He just told me the other day. I haven't looked at it, but I believe that's what it is. And if I'm wrong, I will text you with the correct.
All
But
right.
I believe that's what it is, and so I'm looking forward to checking that out. So yeah, there's a lot of wrestling out there, right? It's
It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. I mean,
absolutely.
there's a lot of good stuff out there. But yeah, no, I was just curious what your thoughts on I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan. We got Roman Reigns as champion for 930 days or
Right.
something like that, and there's a big debate we had on our last podcast. We had Mike Sarge Riley on here with Mikey Cash, and
I
they were
looked at
they were talking about who's going to win, and he said, "Oh, I think Roman's going to win." I'm like, "There's not a chance."
yeah.
It's like you think about Cody Rhodes and
Yes.
like the legacy of his dad and how over he is right now. It's not a chance. Cody Rhodes wins hands down. I'd bet my house on it.
Yeah, I was listening to that episode. I enjoyed it immensely, and yeah, I was like, dude, I'm going to mark it on my calendar to watch it because look, I'm not. I'm trying to crank this book out, man, and
I got you.
it's really hard to work and do family stuff and write the book and follow all the wrestling. So I get tidbits, and this and that. I don't watch it like I would like to, right? But
Yeah.
I still get to see it. But yeah, that I'm gonna put that on the calendar for sure. But man, I'll let you know when this book is out because it's gonna be a doozy.
Please do. Please do. Well, again, thank you for joining us here today, Vinny. I'm sure we'll see you again soon, and maybe we'll be on your podcast in the future for an
I'd like
episode. Again, thank you for coming on, and until next time, we'll make sure to give your book another good read.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny.
All right.
So once again, I want to thank Vinny Berry for coming on here. It's always great to have him. Like I said, Mikey Cash couldn't be here. We miss him, but had the modem issues. So we're doing a little strutting solo with Big Vito over here. Appreciate you, everyone listening. One more time for our socials. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at SFG Podcast, Twitter and TikTok at @from_gorilla, Instagram at SF Gorilla Pod. And then you can always check us out on our website at struttingfromgorilla.com. And please make sure if you like the episode, give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to. So until next time, keep on strutting.
We now return your perception of reality to you. Until next time.